side dishes. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how I lost 50 pounds and how I am still on my weight loss journey. If you'd like to hear more about that, stay tuned. So I started Weight Watchers in December of 2017, and it actually was like December 30th, and it was just something I had just started on a whim, and it was because I was in like a deep state of sadness. A dog that I had died, and she was all of my dogs are meaningful, and I love all my dogs like they're my children, but this particular dog, she was a Boston Terrier, her name was Mitzi, and she was my mom and dad's dog. So when my dad died, I felt like I had my mom to take care of, and so my dad died, and for 15 months, I had my mom to take care of. And then when my mom died, Mitzi came to live with us, and so I felt like I had Mitzi to take care of. So I know it might sound weird to some people, but Mitzi and I went through this incredible journey together. Like, she was just as heartbroken and sad about the loss of my mom as I was. My mom and dad lived in Arizona, and so when I first got to my mom's house after she passed away, it's like I was standing in their living room, and I was standing in a situation that I always knew someday I would be in. Like, I had pictured myself, like, someday either my mom or my dad is going to be the second of the two to go, and I'm going to be standing in their house, and I'm going to have to clean it out, 25 years worth of stuff. But I knew that I'd be standing there one day. And, I had it down so perfect, like in my eye, I had everything perfect, and it was just how I envisioned it, except I did not ever think that I was going to have a leash around my wrist, and I was going to have a dog at the other end of that leash. I never really thought, I thought Mitzi, the Boston Terrier, would go first. So I'm standing in, my mom and dad's living room, just like I knew I would be, and I'm looking at this dog who is just clearly, grieving and so upset. And it was like, wow, like it's the two of us. And so, Mitzi and I got close. She did really sad things like go into my mom's closet and lay on my mom's clothes. I'd take a shower, and when I come out of the shower, she'd be like this, and then she'd see me and she'd be like, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Mitzi, it's just me. Or I'd go somewhere and I'd, pull into the driveway, and I was driving my mom's car, and I'd walk into the house and she'd be like this, and she'd be like, ugh. And I'm like, sorry, Mitz, it's just me. She's not coming back. You're stuck with me. So I wasn't really sure what to do with Mitzi because she was a desert dog, basically. My folks lived in Arizona. So Mitzi had lived her whole life basically out in the desert, was used to not really grass. Everything was lava rock scaped, and she lived on single floor, so she'd never had stairs. She only lived on carpet. She never had hardwoods. She'd never been around other dogs. She never had to compete with another dog for food. She'd never had snow. She'd never had grass. I mean, just so many things. And I was really worried, can Mitzi leave, living here at 11 years old and come to my house, which was chaotic. We had 5 dogs. And so I wasn't sure what to do. I kind of talked to the neighbors and maybe to see if they wanted to take Mitzi. And I remember the neighbors who actually kept Mitzi until I could get there after my mom died. I'm still kind of offended by this, but I said, hey, John, would you guys like to keep Mitzi? And he's like, God, no. It kind of hurt my feelings. I'm like, what? Okay. But I talked to the other neighbors, and they thought maybe, but they traveled a lot. So I just was torn. But I was there for 2 weeks, and later my husband said, by the 3rd day when you're sending me pictures of all the cute things Mitzi was doing, I knew Mitzi was coming home. But one of the things Mitzi did was she'd start to sleep in my suitcase. But she became my little shadow, and we just became really kind of there for each other. So I called my vet in the Midwest, and I was told that she was on vacation out of the country, and I was like, oh, well, I really need to figure out, what to do with my dog. Can she call me, when she gets back? Well, she called me back within 20 minutes. And so she's been our vet for years and years. But she called me back within 20 minutes and said, Yeah, she can totally come to Indiana. Dogs travel all over the country, and some people, live in different parts of the country, the world, different parts of the year, and they bring their dogs, so you can bring her. So anyway, Mitzi came to Indiana. It was a little bit of a rough transition for her because all of a sudden there were 5 other dogs she was pretty afraid of, just nervous around. She slipped all over the hardwood floor. She did not know how to go up and down the stairs or in the stairs in the backyard. She would not eat out of the same bowl as the other dogs. So it was, it was kind of rough the first couple days, but I always knew that, okay, give her a week and she'll be fine. She loved outside. She just loved our big country backyard of 3 acres, loved the grass. And so the snow, she loved the snow, but she was having a little bit of a hard time in the snow. So we tried to buy her some doggy coats. But Boston Terriers are shaped kind of funny, so we could never get like the right coat for her. So we finally had to buy a coat for her, and it had to be custom made. So, this spoiled dog, she's still getting custom made stuff, but she would never eat out of the same bowl as the other dogs. And she only ate like really special, expensive, soft food that my mom would give her. And it's like, I got 5 dogs, and we used to have 6 dogs, and now we're back to 6 dogs. It's like, Mitzi cannot have, like the royal treatment. We got a lot of dogs here. But she would never eat just crunchy food. So we were slowly able to get her to eat a diet of half crunchy food, half soft food, but she always had private dining. So we got a little placemat for Mitzi, and it even said Mitzi on it. And when it was time for her to eat, and she was used to just eating once a day, we would just bring her into our office privately, and she had special bowls that she could eat out of because, again, she was a Boston Terrier and had the kind of nose that's hard to eat some bowl, get into the corners. So we had bought some special bowls for her, and my husband and I, we would just bring her in, and she would have private dining. And she would eat the food that she wanted to, and when she was done with it, we'd open the door, and the other dogs would come in, and they'd all, gobble up her leftovers. But it just became a thing. So we had 2 really good years with Mitzi, and I feel so good that we gave her an amazing 2 years. And when Mitzi passed away, it was just like any dog. It was just really, really hard for me. But it was kind of like that last, like a really meaningful attachment that I had to my mom and dad. And so I was just, in a funk when we had to bring her to the vet because she was suffering from heart failure. And so we brought her to the emergency vet once, and had to spend a lot of money, and she was just terrified and miserable, and we got her on some medication, and it worked. It kept her going, but, not for very long. So she died on December 30th, which is like a really bad time, but I was just heartbroken. So after my mom and dad died, my grandson was born. So my parents never got to meet their great-grandchild. But I remember my son, Brad, who is, just very optimistic, but has a really simple way of thinking about things. He said, hey, when Mitzi gets up to heaven, Grandma and Grandpa will be there, and she can tell them all about Ollie. And so Ollie is my grandson, or their great-grandson. And I said, yeah, you're right. So that made me feel better knowing that, Mitzi is going to heaven and she's going to be with my mom and dad. So Mitzi is buried in our backyard with about 9 other of our dogs. And I did have some ashes remaining from my mom and dad. And so we put some of my mom and dad's ashes in the ground with Mitzi. So, I have Mitzi in the backyard with us. But it was just like a really bad time for me because my dad died, I had my mom to take care of. My mom died, I had Mitzi to take care of. Mitzi died, I had nobody to take care of. And it was just a really just sad place for me. And I don't know what it was, but Oprah popped on TV and started talking about Weight Watchers, and I think maybe at that time I was just looking for some control, and my weight had got out of control. And I just thought, I'm going to join Weight Watchers. So just right then and there, I signed up for Weight Watchers. I found that there was a Weight Watchers really close by. I remember my husband came in and I said, I've joined Weight Watchers. He's like, okay. And so that was it. I just, on a whim, started it and did it. And within, the first week, I probably lost 7 pounds. And you're like, okay, it's probably just water weight. But really started following the Weight Watchers plan and doing it, and quickly, realizing, wow, I eat a lot of the wrong foods. And I think one of the great things about Weight Watchers is it teaches you how to live and how to live your life. And it's not, prepackaged food. It's food that I have to make and I can eat out because I travel a lot. And I go to phenomenal places across the country and eat at some of the most phenomenal restaurants. And that's how I got, 70 pounds overweight. But Weight Watchers was just really doable. And so by about 6 weeks in, I was probably down like 14 pounds. And I have a lovely coworker and friend, and she's also an autism mom, and was just kind of telling her about my success. And she's like, I think I'm going to join. And I said, great. So now I had a buddy to do Weight Watchers with, and we would, cheer each other on. And then my son did it, and my daughter-in-law, and then my assistant's husband. And then we had a little kind of group that we did it together. But one of the things I've really learned is that, eating like everything, it's a behavior. You have to make the best choices, but through Weight Watchers, I really learned what the best choices are. And I really feel like the whole food industry has been lying to us. See that whole grain bagel? Don't eat it. They're saying, oh, eat it, it's whole grain. Do not eat that. That's the calories that you should pretty much be eating all day long. So really learning to get away from the carbs, use more proteins and vegetables. And I really expanded my food repertoire and tried mashed cauliflower and really started cooking for myself. And really once I think I got a lot of the sugar and the carbs and the fat out of my system, really started to really enjoy food and just my simple chicken soup that I make. It's so simple and easy, but it is so divinely beautiful and such good food. So that's really what I've learned. I've taken a little break from Weight Watchers and just said, I've been doing this for a year and a half. I need to take a break. And so what I did is I just maintained my weight, and I've done fairly well, but I've really learned that I can go to a super duper fancy restaurant and talk to the waiter about food, and 9 times out of 10 they'll send the chef out to me, because guess what? Chefs like to cook and they like to talk about food. So they'd send the chef out and they'd say, I just needed chicken breasts, cooked with no oil and some vegetables. Can you do that? Oh, yeah, we can do that. And they'd send me out these beautiful dishes of just simple food. And then I would say to the waiter, oh my God, tell the chef that this was so good. And it would make the chef's day because he made me chicken and vegetables, the simplest thing in the world to make. But I just really learned to talk to people about, the food that I needed to eat, and to not be embarrassed about it, and just be like, you know what, I'm trying to do this. So I really was open with everybody that I was trying, to do this, and got a lot of support and really enjoyed losing the weight and getting to buy different clothes, just kind of changing up my style a little bit. So the end of this year will be 2 years since I've started, and I still, probably want to go another 20 pounds. So I'm really starting to I'm kind of just living half of it right now, maintaining, trying to lose, but I think within the next week I'm going to be in it back full force, trying to lose. So once I got, feeling, just better about my diet, I hit a plateau. And, a plateau is one of these dreaded things, but I kind of realized that most everybody on a weight loss journey, not if you're going to hit a plateau, it's when you're going to hit a plateau. For women, it's not if you're going to hit menopause, it's no, when you hit menopause. So there was a time that I really hit this plateau, and I tried so hard, and I would just be flat, flat, flat. And what's one of the great things about Weight Watchers is the tools. You can really go and they put it in graphs for you, and you can see your weight loss and your little ups and downs, and you can just see your downward trend. But so I just thought, I really need to get back into exercising. And I used to be pretty heavily into Pilates, and realized, I need to just get back into Pilates. So I got back into exercising, was exercising, religiously 3 times a week with Pilates, and then was, got really talking to some of the men that I work with who are more into, cardio and more weight training, and was able to to, just talk to them about food and more cardio, was able to bring exercise back into my life. And, just like everything, it's a behavior. You have to make the time for yourself and exercise. And things have got crazy for me over the last 6 months, and I slowly started to let my exercise go. And I need to really get back into that and make that commitment to myself, because I'm worth it. And I heard somebody say one time, like, if you don't take the time for your health now, you'll have to make the time for your poor health later on. And that really, sunk into me. And as I'm 50, sometimes I'll see people in their 70s, and you can tell the people who are 70 now if they were taking care of themselves when they were 50 or not. You can tell the people who, are hunched over, are really slow, and then you can see the 70-year-old who is just, looking like they're 40. And I want to be that person. So I have found another Pilates studio, and I'm excited to, again, to get that blocked on my calendar, make that time for me, let everybody know. Unless blood is coming out of your eyes, don't call me during this time, because I'm not calling you back, and just really making the time for myself. So that's kind of how I lost 50 pounds, and how people around me also lost weight. My son with autism, he actually got into it, and I was able to talk to him about, the difference of diet sodas and just smaller portions and, better choices. And so it's been like a real great thing. And kind of annoying is that I know my husband eats donuts most every day, because I buy the donuts, and I buy a 6-pack of donut, and I see 3 days later the donuts are gone. But even just him eating the food that I prepare at night for myself, he lost like 14 pounds. Still eating donuts in the day, of course, but just changing one meal a day. So I really enjoyed taking the time for myself and cooking the food for myself, and really knowing what I was making. And that's how I did it. And I feel like if I can do it, anybody can do it. And if you're ready to take this journey for yourself and think about ready to lose weight, whatever plan you want to go on, reach out to me. I am here to help you, because I learned it's not about perfection. It's just about progress. And we're all going to have up and downs. And don't think of it as I have to be 100% on my diet. Like, no, you don't. You got to get maybe 70% right. If you can do your diet 70% of the time, you're going to lose weight. Yeah, if you can get up to 80, 90%, you'll probably lose weight faster, but you don't have to. You can live your life and still lose the weight. So that's my thoughts on that. If you want to make any comments or suggestions or share your thoughts or your success or your journey, please, put them below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and chat more about it. So that's my journey. That's how I lost weight. That's how I plan on continuing to lose the 20 or so more pounds I want to lose and keep it off. And I want to thank Pip. He's my rat terrier, for being in this video with me. Pip's about 16 years old. He's a little guy. He's just 4 pounds. You say, hey, Pipper? But he's my constant companion. Just remember to always look into the future. And I'll see you on the next video.